Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Two Sons Podcast. Yes, you have heard that here. You have heard that here tonight. You have heard that here today. You have heard that here on your screens. I am back with another episode of Two Sons Podcast, and I say I because it is currently just the host, Joseph. My brother is actually doing his own episode on the most recent episodes of The Bad Batch, continuing our little mini series in our podcast for your guys' viewing pleasure, and I got to see an awesome movie earlier in the week, and I was pumped to talk about it with somebody. My brother hasn't seen it yet, so you know what? I'm talking about it with you guys. All right, talking about it here tonight. But with that being said, if you can read the title of this episode, or if you can hear the title of this episode, or if you just know what's been going on in the movie world and what the biggest box office of the year has been so far, taken over due to, yes, folks, that is right, it is going to be Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Now, I will tell you before we get into anything else, I am a huge fan of Godzilla and Kong, and I will get into that later. But with that being said, let me tell you guys where you can find us, all right? Two Sons Podcast. It's Sons with an O, not a U, because once again, we are two brothers. I have one brother at this point. My brother's over there somewhere. Um, but yes, Two Sons Podcast. That is Sons with an O, not a U, because we are two brothers. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and X, previously known as Twitter. We are also at TikTok and YouTube under Two Sons Podcast. We are going to be trying something a little bit different, and we're just going to be focusing on posting the audio on Spotify and Apple and your podcasting platforms, and post the videos on YouTube so you guys can listen to us and hopefully not have problems seeing us. That way, the YouTube videos will be much more better and clearer for your viewing pleasure. So I'm going to try that out with this episode. I believe my brother did the same. I have to upload his episode after I finish this one, but it's going to be a quicker little episode for you guys. I don't know how long I'll run. I can't even see the time. Oh, there's the time. Maybe a half an hour or so. It's just me, and my throat is bothering me, unfortunately. So excuse me if I call for anything. Take a sip of my drink. Dunkin' Donuts, beautiful. Love it. Not sponsored, but it'd be cool if they were. All right, folks. You can see from the poster in the back, I absolutely love Godzilla and Kong. But let's get into our MVP of Godzilla and Kong before we go into it. Spoilers are going to be ahead. After the 5th minute mark, I will start talking about spoilers. So, fair warning now. If you want to hear spoilers, skip to the 5th minute. If not, keep with me on this journey. My MVP of this film was debated between two characters, and who is it gonna be? It's gonna be Suko. And you're gonna be like, Joe, who the heck is Suko? I don't know Godzilla and Kong and stuff. It's that little boy you saw, not little boy, but little Kong boy, little ape dude, not really little, you know what I mean? Like, the smaller baby Kong, baby Kong. His name is Suko, though. All right, MVP, and I will get into that sooner than later. All right, now jump into how we're doing. It's only me. Tell you how we're doing. Doing all right. I not feeling well. Unfortunately, I think I got allergies or something. I really got something wrong with my respiratory system or something. I gotta check it out. But I did mention, excuse me, on a previous episode. I believe the last one, not the new one, the one before that, Bad Batch. That I'm gonna be finishing my left arm. So as you see, I have like Star Wars stuff right here. I have nothing all over here. So I'm going to be getting that done, and actually Godzilla and Kong are going to be included in that. And I made the decision before this movie came out, so don't say it's like recency stuff. I'm going to have the Terminator in there. I'm going to have a bunch of cool sci-fi, pop culture, film stuff that I just grew up loving and enjoying. And I will tell you guys that the MonsterVerse, or Legacy's MonsterVerse as we know it now, I've been a huge fan of since the 2014 Godzilla. But growing up, my two favorite movies, or two of the movies that I religiously rewatched, was Peter Jackson's King Kong from 2005 and the 1998 American version of Godzilla. That wasn't the best version of Godzilla, but that was the one that we had on DVD at home, and I watched that thing so much because it basically was dinosaurs, and I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I had every freaking version of Godzilla toy you could imagine, and King Kong was just one of the coolest characters in my opinion. So growing up, I absolutely love these movies, and It was kind of like you had nothing for a while, at least like here in the States. I know um, back in Japan they kept on making, throughout the years. But it really wasn't until 2014 where Legacy acquired part of the rights. I don't know if they have complete control over the rights, but they acquired Godzilla and they started with the 2014 movie Godzilla. And what I absolutely love, because I've actually been watching YouTube videos on MonsterVerse and just Godzilla and Kong and like backgrounds and stuff, because I find it interesting, is they got a lot of inspiration from Jaws. And going back, because I actually just recently rewatched the 2014 Godzilla, it's basically Jaws with Godzilla because they don't show Godzilla until probably the 70, like, 75% into the movie. You actually don't see Godzilla fully. And it's the airport scene where you hear him charging up against a Muto. And it's insane. It's like that shock value. And currently in the Monsterverse, we have five installments, I believe, with this one being the fifth installment. And look out for future episodes talking about the Monsterverse. And I'm going to go through all Monsterverse movies. So this is going to be an episode of Godzilla X Kong. There's going to be an episode of Godzilla, episode of Godzilla King of Monsters, episode of Kong Skull Island, episode of Kong versus Godzilla. So we will go through all of that. But like I just listed, we started off the Monsterverse in 2014 with the boy himself that I happen to have right here. Yeah, man, Godzilla. I got this at BJ's for like $7. Really cool. Just sitting on my desk, guarding my papers and whatnot. But yes, in 2014, that basically bursted out the seams. The original, well, not the original filmmaker because he wasn't around, but a lot of people with the original ownership of Godzilla in Japan even loved this film. So it started off great. And then in 2017, we got Kong Skull Island, which is just such a phenomenal film. And we haven't seen Kong since 2005. So, excuse me, I absolutely love seeing him again. 2019, we got King of Monsters. In 2021, we got Godzilla vs. Kong, which, oh my God, I absolutely love. I mean, I love all these films, but that one to me is insane. And then we have the newest installment in 2024, Godzilla X Kong, A New Empire. That is the film we're going to be talking about now. And alrighty, folks, we are past that 5 minute mark, so we're going to be talking spoilers. But I'm going to give you a little background information about the film, a little stats, a little box office and stuff. Like I previously mentioned, Godzilla X Kong is currently the highest grossing movie of the year so far, beating out Dune. And I believe its total box office right now, quick Google search, do 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 do. I can't really find an updated one, but I will tell you guys that, excuse me, from this episode being filmed, I know it has passed 200 something $1 million. So it beat out Dune for the highest opening. Sorry, not highest gross, highest opening film. And it's no surprise. I don't know what this film is going to cap out on, but it's good. It already made its money back. It's going to continue to make profit, and I believe we're already going to see another film. Maybe 3 years time, I would say, give or take 2 years. I don't know, but we're definitely going to see another film out of this, and everything. I even got little Godzilla back there. That's like the original one. Cool little pin, little pin, big pin, but you know what I mean. Um, excuse me. So yes, and going into a little information about the film before I start talking about it, it is just under 2 hours. It's an hour and 55 minutes, and it has a lot of different characters in the cast. Which honest, I'm just going to talk about the main five people. We have Rebecca Hall returning. She's fantastic. We have Brian Tyree Henry. He is hilarious in this film. He's like one of the stars, in my opinion. We have Dan Stevens as Trapper, who a lot of people think is going to be Jack Jagger in the future, which I could totally see happening. We have Kaylee Huddle, who is Gia, who plays the Iwi, the last Iwi girl. So pretty much, honestly, just main four characters besides the actual Titans. It is currently in a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb. No surprise there. It is PG-13. It's directed by Adam Wingard. And I'm just gonna see. I know it's currently rotten, but the 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 fans have it at like a 90 something percent. If I go on IMDb quick, do do do. I can't find the Rotten Tomatoes, but I know it is. The fans love it. The critics are like, whatever. But that's common in all that stuff. So, with that being said, let's get into the actual premise of the movie before we start talking about it. So, obviously, there was a lot of hype building up to this movie. The last installment was Godzilla vs. Kong. Two of the biggest titans known to man facing off against each other. Obviously, we have Godzilla coming out victorious and being the king of the surface world, and we have Kong taking his place as the king of Hollow Earth on a journey to find his family after they both defeated Mechagodzilla. So everybody was wondering who's going to be the big bad, and then the one of the first announcements was a little teaser trailer, and it was just like kind of like a ticking and like music, and it showed the glowing eyes of what looked to be a giant ape. So we're like, okay, it's gonna be a giant freaking ape who's got skulls of Godzilla and Kong surrounding him, or their species. So it's like, oh, this is gonna be a new big bad. And then it got revealed that this villain was Scar King, who's basically a giant orangutan, pretty much that has like weapons. And it also got revealed later on that he was working alongside Shimu, who is known to be the first Titan, who I would describe definitely double the size of Godzilla, mainly on fours, and I would describe as an ice version of Godzilla. Absolutely badass. Loved him in the film, and we'll get into that a little later. But those were the big bads, and it seems like Kong was going to try to get Godzilla to help him because he couldn't face Scar King and Shimu on his own. We also saw from the trailer that there was other apes, whether they were technically Kong species or whatever. There were other apes in Hollow Earth, making Kong not the last of his species. So awesome! We got the reveal of Suko, also called the Mini Kong, who, like I said, is my MVP for various reasons. And one of the biggest surprises of the film, first spoiler alert, the return of Mothra, which I was super surprised to see Mothra. Unfortunately, I got it spoiled on TikToks because naturally that's what always freaking happens, which is annoying. But we got the return of Mothra, not the same Mothra from King of the Monsters. This one, what looked definitely different, more grown, and we find out that this Mothra is actually the protector of an Iwi tribe that is in Hollow Earth, making excuse me, making Kaylee Hoddle's character Gia not the last of her kind from Skull Island. There was actually a whole tribe in Hollow Earth, with Mothra being the protector, but Gia was the only one that could actually awake her, and we'll talk about that a little later on. So the film starts off kind of similar to how Godzilla vs. Kong started off, with Kong in Hollow Earth was actually being chased by these things called like wart wolves or something, these crazy looking giant wolves. Um, and what I liked about this scene is you can see that Kong has actually set up a lot of traps, showing that he's not only like a physically strong Titan, but he's a mentally strong Titan as well that help kill these. And we even see the return of Doug, the cute little lizard thing that actually steals Kong's food. And it's actually a pretty sad opening because, again, we see Kong pretty much just alone, defeated by himself, gives up the food to Doug, doesn't even fight for it, has a cracked tooth. He's lonely. He's constantly searching. He's never finding it. He's having to fight these things every day, and it's pretty much a bleak scenario. And then we get some footage of Monarch's base in Hollow Earth, and some characters there reading some readings, which is going to turn out to be the Iwi tribe actually trying to signal for help. Um, Also, during this time, we get clips of Godzilla basically just being an absolute menace. He shows up when any of the other Titans basically come out and start to misbehave, so to speak, and he just obliterates them. Uh, so we saw him kill, I believe, two or three other Titans. I know he killed one for sure in Rome, and afterwards he actually he took a nap in the Roman Colosseum. So that was awesome. I love to see that, and that's actually a callback to King of the Monsters because a lot of people say it reminds him of his original home that Dr. Um, Irizawa, I believe if I'm saying his name correctly, sacrificed himself setting off the nuke to get Godzilla juiced up to go destroy Ghidorah. So, excuse me, got like acid reflux or something. Apologies. Um, Goddamn. Okay. Um, so yes, we basically just see Godzilla pretty much tearing up um, these titans, but we also see Godzilla destroying. Um, I wasn't sure if he was destroying a facility. He was destroying a facility because a lot of people were asking why he was attacking. What changed his mood, and basically, excuse me. Um, what's it called? Honestly, I can't really recall exactly what he was attacking or why, but I know he was attacking to basically get to challenging every up. Oh, he was attacking because of the calls from Scar King and stuff. So that's why he was attacking. But he was also taking care of the other Titans. Excuse me, my little brain fart right there. Um, but we see definitely more of Kong in this film than Godzilla. We do see, a good amount of story with the human characters, mainly between the Gia and her adopted, her adopted mother, Rebecca Hall's character, Ian Andrews, who she was great in this film, and basically how Gia is having trouble adjusting in a normal life because obviously she comes from a tribe on from Skull Island, being the last of her tribe, and she starts making all these weird patterns and stuff. And when we kind of go back and forth, we go to the Monarch Station in Hollow Earth, and the things that she's seen match up exactly with the patterns. And we also get a fast forward to the Monarch Station being attacked. They don't show, but it is attacked by Scar King, who leaves a giant bloody handprint on the wall, making our main characters go down to Hollow Earth. So fast forward, we see Kong go into this crack that was actually made by his trap, and searching because he's hearing something and exploring a new area of Hollow Earth, which he actually ends up in this other part, I believe, called Subterranean Earth. I think that's what it's called off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's like the subterranean area in Hollow Earth. So he's still in Hollow Earth technically, but he's in the subterranean area. So it's like a below, the depth. All right. So this is where he comes and meets Suko. So at first he meets Suko, and he is excuse me, I'm getting a phone call. He meets Suko, and he's like shocked. He drops his axe and everything. He reaches out because he's like, you almost see a look of relief on his face, and that's what I love about Kong. Is I don't think he's relatable in the sense of his life, but I think he's relatable in the mannerisms and the way he acts, and sometimes the way he feels, because he does have a very human emotion and connection with things. He can even communicate with Gia. Excuse me, he can even communicate with Gia. So we see that in this film as well. But Suko actually is part of Scar King's quote unquote tribe, I would say. And he's actually not alone. He's actually with like these three other almost Kong-sized apes that definitely look more ragged. Not as hairy. They definitely do look a little different. Almost like a naked sort of chin with some hair here and there that actually have knives and like their own weapons. And actually, they do put up a pretty good fight. It's a really good fight scheme. And we even see Kong use Suko as pretty much nunchucks. And Kong absolutely beats the shit out of these. Excuse my language, but beats the shit out of these other apes and everything. And then he forces Suko to take him to basically where he lives because I guess he's like, yeah, there are more of you guys. Like I'm going. Um, Suko doesn't want to. He's very apprehensive of it because he's like, I can't trust Kong. You just beat the shit out of my friends. Um, but he goes, and we see like these cute little moments where uh, they actually stumble upon this lake. Suko takes him to this lake because he knows there's like this eel in it, that this big serpent snake eel thing that could kill Kong. Kong obviously ends up defeating it, and he actually ends up eating it, similar to how he did in Kong Skull Island with that squid creature. And he shares it with Zuko, and Zuko's like obviously like nah, like fuck you. But then he actually warms up and like goes next to him, and then they actually journey to go to the area where Scar King and the other apes are, and you can see like Zuko is like physically like panicking, like this is not a good idea. Like he's fucked, like kind of like he's just terrified. He knows the Kong is screwed. He has no idea what to do. So he, excuse me, they get there, and you see all these other apes. Definitely like slightly different versions of the apes, similar to Kong. Um, but we kind of see a slave labor, so to speak, down there, where the stronger apes that have their red war paint on, I guess Scar King's guards, controlling these other apes to work and do whatever for Scar King, and immediately when Kong gets there, something happens where one of the apes falls, the other one gets in his face, and Kong basically goes up to it. It's like, try that with me. And so the other ape basically goes in front of him, and it reminds me of Indiana Jones, where the guy comes with the sword and just like, and then he like Indiana Jones just like pew pews him, um, just like that, and basically gets face to face with Kong, like beating his chest, roaring, and the Kong's just like knocks his ass out cold. So then Scar King finally comes out, challenges him, um, but he's mocking him. He's being a dick. He's pointing at his tooth because he actually got help from the humans and Jet Yeager fixing his tooth, basically giving him like a metal tooth, so to speak, obviously made out of something stronger or whatever. But he actually breaks out of Hollow Earth earlier to fix the tooth because it's causing him so much pain, and that's where we see more Jet Jagger and stuff. And wondering why Kong's there. So, Scar King, he's pretty much just as tall as Kong, but definitely a lot lengthier. Again, he's more orangutan like. Um, but he has like this almost, I'm not sure what it's called, but kind of like what Scorpion has, where he has like a chain with a dagger on the end of it. That's basically a weapon that Scar King has. And, Kong challenges him. They have their little scuffle. Scar King actually does like mess him up pretty bad. But then Kong gets back, and then once he's kind of getting into it, Scar King unleashes Shimu, uh, who he has hostage, basically prisoner, forcing Shimu to do whatever for him, and what's it called? Shimu attacks Kong and freezes his arm, basically giving him frostbite, forcing Kong to escape with the help of Zuko actually telling him to a tunnel. Also, during the scene, there was, I'm not sure if it was like a friend to Zuko or his father, because I'm assuming Scar King fathered all the kids there because the younger apes were all orange, not black. So I would assume Scar King was the father of all the apes, but the ape that tried to protect him, Scar King just back kicked him into the lava, which made Kong even more mad. But after Kong escapes, Scar King sets the other apes to go after him. They go after him, and Kong's like he's struggling here. He has no idea what to do. He's going. He finally escapes them and everything with the help of Zuko at the end, because actually they do fall for some of his traps, but then they realize one of them, and then Zuko goes and basically helps trap them, and then they escape. And later on, we actually see them finding um, the Iwi tribe for help where the humans happen to be. But while this is happening, we're seeing more of Godzilla, and Godzilla's kind of just like going on a rampage. Not necessarily a rampage, but any Titan that pops up, he's going and he's just murking them. So pretty much that's what he's been doing in the meantime. And we get to the part before he kind of, so to speak, evolves. So he goes and he attacks this, I guess I would call it like a sea snake, viper, titan sort of thing called Tiamat, who is this pink eel looking thing. And he challenges her and beats her and goes in her nest that's in the Arctic. And I guess her her nest had to do with making her pink. This is kind of why he becomes pink, but he becomes even more juiced because he looks even bigger in this film. So he's pretty much there until the call of until the call of Kong, Scar King, and Shimu, I believe, one of them, and that's when we get the scene from the trailer where he pops out and basically goes. And going back to the Iwi tribe, we find out that they're pretty connected to Mothra, and that they foretold a prophecy where an Iwi would come from Skull Island, be able to wake Mothra to have them help to basically destroy Scar King and his army, and bring back peace and balance and all that stuff. So she ends up awaking Mothra, who we see obviously is going to help, but not without going back to Kong. He needs to get his arm fixed, and Jet Jagger was actually working on a program, kind of like after how they made Mechagodzilla, and they knew they needed something to basically help them defeat Mechagodzilla in the future. So it's kind of like the Thanos glove, but it's basically like this big iron glove to help Kong's hand heal, but also give him he able to block the ice and other weapons and stuff to get him to jump back in the fight. Just like they juiced Godzilla with the nuke in Kingdom Monsters, it's basically just juicing Kong, fixing him, getting back out. So he gets back out, and he's like, I can't do this on my own. I'm getting out of Hollow Earth. I'm going to find my boy Godzilla. We're gonna get him here, and we're gonna take on this boy together. So this is one of the best parts of this film, honestly, is when they meet again. So in this Iwi area, we actually see other pockets to the surface world, Hollow Earth. And he comes in, out of a pocket in Egypt, and basically, does I believe they call it like a Titan roar, where basically he's trying to get Godzilla to come to him. So we see Godzilla pop out. He's like across the way or whatever. I don't know. He's on top of some giant ass building, jumps into the water, comes over where Kong is by the pyramids. And this is the part we saw in like a little TV trailer as well, where again Godzilla's just fully charging towards him, like he don't give a fuck. And Kong is pointing to the hole, and it's like, no, like we gotta go in there. Like I'm not like we're not doing this. I don't want to do that. You like we're cool, we're friends. Like, but I need your help. And Godzilla's like, nah, fam. I'm going in. Just this is where they start, quote unquote, fighting it. A lot of people are like, oh, Godzilla would have killed him. Kong's so much. I don't give a shit who you like, because I wanted Kong and Kong versus Godzilla. Obviously, that didn't happen. Everybody says Godzilla won. Whatever. Besides the fact, I'll talk about it in a different episode. But in this, we get one of the best scenes where two of the best scenes. They're going at it pretty much hand to hand at first. Godzilla's not using his atomic breath yet, so they're going hand to hand, and Godzilla grabs Kong and suplexes him, like grabs him like this, and just suplexes off of the pyramid with Kong. Then Kong's managed to get on top of him, and it's just basically the Avengers Age of Ultron scene with the Hulk and Hulkbuster, where the Hulkbuster is on top of Hulk and is like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. That's basically what Kong is doing to Godzilla, and this is where Godzilla charges up and blasts at him, and then he finally uh, Kong is actually dragging Godzilla by the tail into Hollow Earth, and they this is where the his atomic breath comes out, and then this is where we actually see Mothra come and basically like shoots her web at both of them as like relax, and excuse me. This is like one of the moments where you actually see Godzilla pretty content, because obviously we know he has his little thing with Mothra. So we see Mothra's appearance again, and basically gets Godzilla to agree to relax to go help Kong. So fast forward, Scar King, Shimu, and his army are now getting to basically the Iwi Kingdom, where the portal is to go up world, because Godzilla actually trapped Scar King and his army down in Hollow Earth. So Scar King, wants to get out. This is where we see the epic shot where Godzilla and Kong come down, and they are just straight away all business. And Kong is riding Godzilla. It's insane. Like, a lot of people may not like the human story. A lot of people may not like the pacing or whatever. I think they had enough fights. I think the pacing was fine. The comedy was on point. The action was on point. Everything was great for me. And this is where we see Scar King riding on top of Shimu, charging at Godzilla and Kong in that epic shot where they're both jumping off each other. Spoiler alert: an explosion happens. They don't actually clash there, but then we're like free falling in the air and they're just popping off, hitting each other, and it's insane. And then we finally get to the top of they Scar King, Shimu, Kong, and Godzilla go back onto Earth and end up in Rio de Janeiro, while Mothra is basically taking care of Scar King's army at the bottom, and Zuko is actually trying to get up to Earth too because Kong lost his axe going through the portal. So they get there, and Scar King is like, buzzing because he's back, on the surface, and Shimu, he's still controlling Shimu, and I really felt bad for Shimu in this film because one, she reminded me of a dog with the way she acted, very innocent, um, because Scar King was controlling her. Because of I guess he had one of her fins or whatever, and was able to wield her with it or something, somehow. And so he was basically having her create another ice age because she was responsible for the ice age being the first titan and all. So they get up there, and then this is where we see Kong, Godzilla, Shimu go at it. Godzilla versus Shimu, Kong versus Scar King. And honestly, Scar King really ain't all that. He definitely is not a big bad villain. He was an asshole and he was like good when he had support, but alone he's really not that good. Yeah, he is able to like relatively hold himself against Kong, but again, Kong, ultimately can defeat him in the end. And without Shimu, he would be nothing. But in this battle, we see him lose the spike, and what's it called? We see like a little scramble for it, and this is actually where we see Suko come up, baby Kong, and actually come up with Kong's axe and destroys the spike, setting Shimu free. And we get one of the best scenes where after this, Star King is pissed, grabs Suko, and is like banging him, and Kong just comes over and sucker punches him so hard. And then grabs him, throws him to Godzilla. Godzilla whips him with his tail, and then Kong is just holding him up by the neck. And then Scar King's looking at Shimu to do something. Shimu's like not on his control anymore. Excuse me. So she's like, "What do I do?" And Godzilla basically just like roars at Shimu, basically telling her, just kill him or some shit. Like, that's what I'm assuming was said. Shimu ices him. Kong takes him, throws him down like a popsicle. Done. Scar King is no more. And after this, we see Shimu staring at the sun after Godzilla blasts her ice because she hasn't seen she hasn't seen the sun in probably thousands, if not millions, of years at this point. So it's a very nice sight to see, and we basically see Kong. He takes his axe and he's like, what's up, like, like good, basically Kratos action in this film. And same with Godzilla, and Shimu, good, and the ending of this film is it's a great ending because we see Godzilla go back to Rome and rest again, which is again it's like a little sad because Godzilla's alone, but I feel like that's how he's always been. So go back, take a nap, remain victorious there, and we see Kong go back to Hollow Earth with Shimu and Zuko, basically having Shimu free, almost as his dog. So she's gonna be able to live, a great life with him and Zuko. And they go back to the Kong tribe, and Kong, I guess, becomes their new designated king and ruler, and they'll go out into Hollow Earth and rule there. which I'm assuming they would show in the next film. I don't know, because I want to see more of everybody there. So it ends definitely on a happy note. No post credit, no anything like that. From what I understand, is the past two films focused on Kong and his story. He found his family. He's done. His story is coming to a close for sure. Godzilla's still got a lot left to be desired. Adam Wingard, the director of this film, said, um, obviously, he said depending on the box office, it would depend on what film he would what he would make, or if they would make a next film. They're gonna make another film for sure. Definitely, I definitely see that happening. So that's going to be centered more about around Godzilla. A lot of people expect, original monsters, kind of like they did in King of the Monsters with Ghidorah and Rodan, such as maybe Gigan Destroyer, Space Godzilla. I don't know. A lot of people are expecting a lot of big ones. Who knows? Save that to the future. But guys, excuse me, I'm very congested. We're at a 35-minute mark. I'm gonna close this out in about 5 minutes. Just keep it nice, short, simple for you guys. Because again, this movie is not critically acclaimed. The human characters aren't super duper fascinating, but they're good. I actually really like all of them, and I don't mind their stories. The Iwi tribe is fascinating. I love that. I love seeing Mothra. I love Kong. I love Godzilla. Every Titan in this movie had their own unique personality, and that brought a lot. The action was amazing, um, and again, it was the right amount of time. I wish the third act was longer, but unfortunately, I guess I understand why. But with that being said, we're going to see more Titans and Monsterverse in the future, for sure, and everything. But if I had to rate this film out of 10 suns, it's a 9 out of 10 suns for me. It's not a 10 out of 10 because I wish there was more third act, and I wish we had a little more Godzilla. Other than that, I'm totally cool with everything Kong. The movie experience was amazing. I wish I saw it in IMAX, but it's very expensive. So I just went on Tuesday, saw it in regular, still amazing. But if I can, I will try to see this in IMAX because it's giant monsters fighting. You gotta watch this on the big screen, guys. All right, this is why these movies do so popular, um, and everybody loves Godzilla and Kong. I mean, come on, who doesn't? Um, but again, don't go in thinking this is a critically acclaimed film. Go in and have fun with it. All right, guys. Enjoy these giant titans fight. Enjoy the story of the titans. Enjoy the human characters. They have to be there. You can't have a story without the human characters. Unfortunately, it's just not possible. Not in today's standards. Legacy did a great job with this. With this being the fifth film, um, again, it is a great addition. Does it rank first for me? No. Does it rank last? No. Maybe somewhere in the middle. I will let you know maybe next week when I cover a Monsterverse episode, because I will go over all five films, not in depth, but I will go over all five films, tell you what I like about them, tell you what I dislike about them, and rank them. 1 through 5 or 5 to 1, whichever way you guys want to go. But with that being said, my brother is covering the last two episodes of The Bad Batch. I believe not 11 because they had to release two episodes this week because it was an intense week. I just got finished watching the last three, and oh my god. Guys, this is one of the best animated seasons of a Star Wars show. Like, I'm telling you, like Clone Wars and Rebels level, it is. This season is the best season so far, and it is absolutely amazing. By the way, they're making a Tales of the Empire show, like an animated show for Star Wars, like Tales of the Jedi. Amazing. I mean, keep doing it, Star Wars. You guys are killing the game. So go out and check out his episode, which will be released the same time as this episode. So watch the episodes back to back. Or check one out today. Check one out tomorrow. Well, not today, because when it's being filmed, it's gonna be released tomorrow. Check one out tomorrow and check one out Monday. I don't know, but I want to get out two episodes for you guys because I love and I care about all of you. Okay. Also, we are so close to 100 episodes. After these two episodes release, we'll be up to, I believe, about 80 episodes. 20 more to go, guys, and we're already at 100. I mean, that is absolutely insane. I'm very excited for that, guys. By the way, guys, anybody has any Godzilla or Kong posters, please hit me up. I got one myself, but like any of the new ones, any of the old ones, please, I will pay you money. I will do, I'll get you a trade poster or whatever. Like, we'll work something out, all right? But hook a brother up, okay? Excuse me. With that being said, I'll let you guys know to have a great evening, a great night, a great day, a great afternoon. Don't do anything stupid. Please be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Hope you guys had a happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. Hope you guys are having a good start to April. It is actually my anniversary today, so happy anniversary to me and my lovely love of my life. Um, but yes, very excited for my tattoo as well. I can't wait to update you guys on that. But otherwise, guys, thank you for coming to another Titan episode of Two Sons Podcast, featuring your host Joseph talking about Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. I can't wait to do more movie reviews in the future. Hopefully, I can see more, definitely more, more consistently, but we will see. Otherwise, guys, have a great evening, have a great night, have a great day. Be safe. Good luck with everything, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.